Hello and welcome to Tucson's new hire videos and also retraining. I have here Jason, who's going to go over today's topic, forklifts. Jason, what's the first thing you do when you walk up to your forklifts?
Well, the first thing I do when I walk up to the forklift, as I'm approaching, I'm looking in general how the whole overall forklift looks. I'm looking at the mask to see if there's any bends in the mask, if there's anything that's not sturdy with the mask.
Okay.
As you can see, it's in pretty relatively good condition. If you look over here, we're looking at the tires. Making sure that there's no large chunks out of the tires. This tire is gently used, but there's nothing that I can see that's physically detrimentally wrong with it.
Sounds good.
Checking to make sure that the whole thing works and it's in solid condition.
That's great. And how would you know when this forklift is the correct size that you would need?
You would have to look over here, actually. On the nomenclature plate.
Oh, I see. The data plate will go over the specs of what this forklift can and cannot lift. Now that we've done a full walk around of the forklift before we disconnect the charger, how would you disconnect your charger?
Simply unplug it.
Well, that's great. Would you mind demonstrating that for us today?
Sure.
Awesome.
How do we do it? Alright, so quite simply, if you grab on one side, grab on the other side, and unplug.
Perfect.
With this, make sure it's not dangling on the ground. You don't want anything on the ground. If it's longer, we would prefer you to be nice to it straight up here.
And where would I hook this up to?
Well, this is like that. Opening the door.
Oh, okay.
And that plugs in here as so.
Perfect. And when I plug that in, is there anything I need to look for on the wires or anything?
I'm getting there.
Oh, perfect.
The door, in order to open, you would have to apply pressure here, you'll hear a click, and you open the door.
Lovely.
That's how you would open it to recharge. As far as the batteries are concerned, yes, you're looking at the cables, you're inspecting them, you don't want to see anything wrong with them, i.e. you don't want any kind of cuts, you don't want any bare wires, you don't want any frayed wires, you don't want any kind of anything inside of here to block it, you don't want any kind of metal shavings, and then kind of take a look over the battery itself. It should be in relatively clean condition. We don't want anything to inadvertently touch something as you're driving, possibly causing a fire or short out.
Well, awesome. Now that we've gone around how to hook it up and walk around, make sure it's safe, you want to show us how to fire it up?
Sure.
Awesome.
But also
Great.
make sure this is also stirred.
Awesome.
So that this doesn't break open the door. Just
All right, so we'll break there.
go.
All right, welcome back. So we're here with Jason, and now Jason's going to explain in our second part of this video on how to actually operate this forklift. Jason, you want to take it away?
Got it. Not a problem. What I do is I'm always looking at my forklift, minding the forks don't trip on them, making sure that they're flat when they're not in use, of course. I come over and I want to make sure that all the data plates are currently here. They're in good condition. They're legible. You want that because of OSHA compliance, man. You want 3 points of contact prior to sitting into the seat. What I like to do is hold this part, and here. That's 3 as you can see. And then I just swing my feet in, and now I'm ready to go. Ah, wait a minute. Forgot one thing. I need my belt. I gotta have a seat belt before operating any kind of a forklift. It's a safety thing. After that, it's quite simple. Make sure that your seat is adjusted properly. You don't want to get in it and be uncomfortable. You want to be comfortable and then proceed on whatever you're going to do. This lever here pulls out, it's between your legs, it pulls out, and you can push it down, and it sets your seat down. I like to bring it up a little bit, I'm a little bit taller, so I bring it all the way up to the highest point, and it gives me a little bit better of a ride. In order to pull, push it forward and pull it back, go forward and back, you have a lever here, which will go forward. A little bit too much for me, but I can put it back. If I get it right about here, we're good to go. Over here are my controls, my hand controls. Now, unlike the older vehicles, I like to call them the LPs, you would have a series of 3 levers here. Those three levers are these three right here. Your drive control is the green one. Push it forward, you're in forward. Put it in the middle, that's neutral. Back is reverse. Your horn's located right here. It has a little horn symbol on it. This will raise and lower the mast. This will tilt back, tilt forward, and this goes left and right. It's that simple. If you're familiar with the forklift already, it's just a matter of acclimation with these three things here. We don't have, a separator that allows it to go out and then come back in. You'd have to do that manually. In order to start this, it's quite simple. It's just like the LPs, except you don't start it. You just turn the key on to position. With the on position, wait a few seconds. It lights up and it'll tell you when it's ready to go. As you can see, this flashing back and forward, that means you're ready to go. Now the first thing you want to do, put your foot on the brake, push the P for the parking brake. Now that it's off the parking brake, I'm ready to go. Push this forward, let off on the brake. It doesn't go anywhere. Well, it's because there's a dynamic braking system involved with these forklifts. When you push on the gas, it will go forward. If you let off on the gas, it naturally goes to stop.
Brake. Welcome back. This is part 3 of our forklift class video. We're with Jason now, and Jason's going to go over some of the things that he has learned over the last few years working here at FL Schmidt, some tips and good advice you might want to use while you're traveling through your day-to-day jobs here at FL Schmidt Tucson. Jason, what are some good tips that you have for the guys?
First thing that I like to address is the cleanliness of the forklift. You want to make sure that it's not cluttered and good housekeeping. You want to look at it and make sure, oh, look, we don't really need this on a forklift. We're not going to be bungeeing anything down. Oh, what is this? Just a random rubber. Don't need that. And steel pole. Well, I mean, we don't really need anything to clean it off with. We can always put that somewhere else. Let's put this out of the way for now. But make sure that your forklift is free of any kind of obstacles. You don't want anything to roll up underneath here and then hit your brake underneath the brake in case you need to brake. You never know. You don't want it to be in bad shape. It is the company's vehicle. It's not your personal vehicle, so treat it with respect. That's all. Another thing is make sure that all the straps, such as your seat belt, is in great condition. I'm pulling it out all the way. As you can see, there's no tears, there's no frays. Everything looks relatively good with it. If this is bad, if something were to happen, and you get ejected from the vehicle, that could go south really quick. You don't want that to happen. Tip that I have is when I drive the vehicle and I try to line it up with pallets, specifically pallets, I notice that every single time the pivotal point, literally, is right here. If you can line up your front tire with the beginning of the pallet and cut it hard, then it should line you up depending on where your forks are, of course. If it's dead center of your mast, then it should be able to pivot straight in there, and then you should just be able to go straight and then pick it